Louis, as I look down the notes here, and by the way, Louis will be at the Borgata, Atlantic City, March 30th and 31st. Then Roanoke, Virginia. For more information and more tour dates, go to lewisblack.com, and you can also follow him as I do on Twitter at @VLewisBlack. I see a heading here that always grabs my attention. I remember sitting in the West Village one night as a young comedian after we had jammed at a place called the Good Times Review at 33rd and 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, yeah.
You remember that joint? I remember sitting at a party after it with Otto and George. He had brought the puppet. It was the weirdest. I remember thinking, I got to go back home to Pittsburgh because this is too weird for me here. But does Otto and George have a show now? What is this?
They have a show called Pig Roast on the internet.
No.
And he's married now.
Oh no!
And he's kind of settled down, but he's still. I've got to say, him and that puppet make me laugh. The puppet interviewed me on the show. I couldn't stop laughing.
They convulse me because folks, the conceit of it is Otto is the real guy. George is the puppet, and Otto constantly has no control over George, who says the most crazy things I've ever heard pronounced in a public situation. And Otto's always like putting his offhand, the non-puppet hand, up in the air like, what can I do?
And he's not really a great ventriloquist, so there's that also is dropped from the thing. So he can't even really deny that he's not saying this stuff. And it's beyond obscenity, which is really what's great. It's a whole new realm.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he's so bad at it that the puppet's lips don't move. But his do. I don't even know how he pulls that off. You know, Louis, one night we were at that Good Times Review, and he had this woman in the front, she was crying. She got up to leave the room, and she said, just leave me alone. Do your sick little puppet act and leave me alone. And the puppet looks at her, and he goes, hey, who's working your head, doll? It was so wrong. We're talking to Louis Black. He's got a new special coming out called In God We Rust. And you can find out info on that over at Louis's site, too, lewisblack.com, because it's on something called ePix HD. And remember, when ordering the Louis album, you can also get the Peter Criss, the Ace Frehley, and the Paul Stanley. 4 selections count as one over there. Good to talk to you, brother. You good?
I'm really good.